Madam President.
Senator from Maryland.
Madam President, I rise as an enthusiastic supporter of the Murray Amendment requiring the EEOC to implement the change recommended by President Obama that would add compensation data to its employment data form, and also to provide it with $1 million to be able to pay for its implementation. First, I would like to salute the gentlelady from Washington State, who has been a longstanding and assertive advocate of equal pay for equal work for women. I thank her for her ongoing, persistent advocacy, and so admire this amendment, which insists that we develop even better tools to pinpoint those 100 major companies in terms of their pay. The gentlelady from Washington State was right there when we passed the Lilly-Ledbetter bill. She has been right there as we've tried to move to the next step on paycheck fairness. And now today, she's here to implement an EEOC rule that would also help, again, to do the kind of work we need to do to ensure the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that guaranteed equal pay for equal work is enforced. We have spent days talking about enforcement of the law, but let's enforce the law passed over 50 years ago to guarantee equal pay for equal work. Now, quick history. The Lilly-Ledbetter bill kept the courthouse door open for when people wanted to file wage discrimination based on gender claims. That courthouse door was slammed in the face of Lilly and other women who found out too late about what they were paid. We kept the courthouse door open. Then we introduced paycheck fairness. The Paycheck Fairness Bill would get rid of the other barriers to women getting equal pay for equal work. One of the biggest barriers is that pay is kept a secret. One of the biggest secrets in the United States, other than national security, is what women get paid in the workplace. Let's keep it our little secret. In fact, in many instances, you have to sign an agreement in order to be hired that you will not disclose your pay to another worker. And if you do, you can be fired. So paycheck fairness is pending. So then now, to be sure though, we're not talking about small business. We're not talking about those mom and pop stores like my dad's grocery store. But I can assure you, my father paid equal pay for equal work to my mother. But in January, our president, President Obama, announced that the EEOC would add compensation data to its employment data form that companies must submit annually that will help shed light on the wage gap across geographic regions and industries. Now, our colleague from Tennessee, the distinguished Senator Alexander, has introduced an amendment preventing this change from going into effect. So we have dueling amendments. I'm for the Murray Amendment. It requires the EEOC to implement the Obama change and provides $1 million to do it. Now, what is the EEO #1 form? It's the employer information report that requires companies to submit information annually about their employees based on race, ethnicity, gender, and job category. So it's equal pay, equal work. The form helps identify and prevent discrimination and protects employees' civil rights. Now, in January, our President Obama announced that companies with over 100 employees, now remember, this is over 100 employees, must include compensation data on their EEO #1 form that would identify the wage gap based on gender and ethnicity across regions. And this change has been strongly supported by many of us, and I support it. Now, much is said about the president overreaching. I don't get it. You know, often, the president is being criticized on the other side of the aisle of not doing too much, that he's not a leader, that he's not a fighter, that he's not a champion. I take exception to that. I think he is a leader. I think he is a fighter. And I think he is a champion. And he's certainly been that in behalf of the empowerment of women and girls. And so what did he do? He exercised his executive authority to declare that the EEOC action on pay data collection would do this, that the EEOC, in partnership with the Department of Labor, have a proposal to annually collect summary pay data, again, as what I say, gender, race, ethnicity, from 100 employees. This proposal would cover 63 million employees, 63 million employees. It stems from a recommendation of the President's Equal Pay Task Force and a presidential memorandum issued in 2014. And it will help focus public enforcement of equal pay laws and provide better insight into discriminatory pay practices across industries. Today, the EEOC is proposing revisions to its longstanding form to require these 100 employees, not just contractors, to provide this information. It would go across 10 job categories, 12 pay bands, but it will not require the reporting of specific salaries of individual employees. So remember, they'll report on the basis of category, job category, and pay band. So we won't know if Susie Smith gets paid more or less than Sam Jones. But we will know what they're paying computer operators. We will know what they're paying lab technicians. These are jobs that tend to be gender neutral. So we will know that if you're working in a call center, regardless, or a firm that employs 1,000 people, that you would be able to do it. Remember, covering 63 million people. The proposal was broader than one that was originally published by the Department of Labor, and it lays important groundwork for progress towards achieving equal pay, and it will encourage and facilitate greater voluntary compliance by employers dealing with existing federal pay law. It will also assist the EEOC, and in case of contractors, in better focusing investigations on employers that are unlawfully shortchanging workers based on gender, race, or ethnicity. And it wouldn't go into effect until September 2017. Now, why is this important? It covers only companies of 100 or more employees. It will affect 63 million people. Nobody's personal privacy will be impinged upon because it's information on job category and pay band. But it will show, first of all, who are the good guy companies. So these become best places to work. My gosh, this can even be a swell recruitment tool. Hey, you go to work for X company, they do pay equal pay for equal work. But if it has been a persistent pattern of egregious violation of unequal pay for doing the same job, it enables Spartan resources at the EEOC to be targeted. So one, I say cheers to President Obama for taking leadership to get to the real facts of the matter, to pinpoint who the egregious violators are that employ more than 100 people. So again, no negative impact on small business, no negative impact on small business, and again, gives no personal information, but does give corporate information. So I think the Obama action was outstanding. And I think the Murray Amendment defending the Obama action through this amendment is exactly what's needed on this bill to, again, take the very important steps of ensuring the enforcement of the civil rights law passed by President Johnson that said equal pay for equal work. So, Madam President, I'm sure that there'll be other additional debate on this. If there's a gentlelady wish, Madam President, I note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Alexander.